So the third Doctor gave way to the fourth, but his era was not yet done. So we begin with the fourth Doctor's appearance in Robot, which is actually quite a simple episode, but it's like the first one that opens to a very magnificent first start. Probably it doesn't get better than this. As far as the Tom Baker stories go, there's some highs and lows as you go, but that first season is just magnificent. They were firing on all cylinders, and yet it begins with this very simple story of a robot manipulated and misused and abused to do terrible, nasty things, even though the robot probably had a heart of gold. And also, apparently, falls in love with Sarah Jane, and who can blame him? It ends up in the King Kong story. So, yeah, probably a wise choice to keep it simple and whatnot, but very much so, the Pertwee era is pretty much still in place, meaning the unit era is still in place. Captain Yates is gone. Last episode was his last one too, but I mean, considering with his Mick Jagger haircut and outfit, the military life wasn't sitting well with him anymore. So anyway, Tom Baker is introduced there, and here's one where kind of loses out to Pertwee. In fact, Pertwee has the best scene of how the Doctor gets his outfit, and it's very simple. He has to find some clothes somewhere, and he just grabs them and tends to like the style and stays with it. Whereas with Baker, well, he just goes in the TARDIS and puts on a bunch of ridiculous outfits, and then suddenly hits on the one that, of course, becomes his signature. So, not so great there. But there he is, and with his bizarre, wild-eyed appearance, and with the hat and everything, it's like, oh, the Doctor's turned into Harpo Marx. But he's very talkative, very, very talkative. And Harry Sullivan, the other Doctor, if you will, is there and was actually mentioned in Planet of the Spiders. So they were thinking ahead, even with that, I'm guessing. And, well, there he was. He didn't appear in that show, of course, but he is mentioned. And then here he is. He's supposed to take care of the Doctor as he recuperates from his regeneration. And already everything is, as the Brigadier says, well, everything looks quiet. And then immediately we cut to a murder committed by something nasty. And, of course, it's the robot that was built by an eccentric professor. And good Lord, he could give the Doctor a run for his money on looking eccentric. Professor Kettlewell, who was a part of this mysterious think tank group called Think Tank. And he had built this robot, claimed he had dismantled it, and also pretended not to know that the robot was being used to commit murders and steal top secret information and property. Most notably, the ability to make a disintegrator gun, which they do. And they're all a part of this, not a cult, but I guess in a way, a intellectual group that feels that they're superior and better than everybody else, and they should be in charge because mankind's destroying himself and all that sort of thing. And they're the type of mindset that probably would not be depicted as villains today. So even though a lot of the characters say, well, I agree with them, we need better fuel sources than we're using and blah, 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 and all that stuff. But, you don't commit mass murder to achieve it. So there's also this idea that rather than just the real world idea of mutual assured destruction, keeping nuclear war at bay, here they suggested that there was some means by which one could control all of the weapons in the world and set them off. I mean, that was pretty silly. But it was a means by which they could achieve their goal. So they throw it in there. And they're using the robot to kill political figures and people who have the designs for the weapons and the codes and all that sort of stuff. And so that's the plot. And the Doctor is investigating it. Sarah Jane is investigating it and doing her Lois Lane bit. And then even Harry Sullivan gets in here. And Harry Sullivan, he suggests the idea of, hey, you might want to have an inside man. And then the doctor and Sarah say, it could be you. And what? And then you could be a James Bond. And so he goes over there. He spies on him. There's not a whole lot of detail into what he's doing, but eventually he gets captured. And then so does Sarah. And she gives him crap, like, James Bond indeed. It's like, look, you're the ones who pushed him into it. Poor bastard. He never gets any respect. But anyway, Sarah, of course, is sympathetic to the robot, feels sorry for him. And then there's Ice Queen Miss Winters, who is just the quintessential. Boy, is she something from the future, you know? and of course, she mean girls Sarah, you know? And he says, you're the type of girl who gives pet names to cars. So, we were glad to see her get taken down. But, so of course, the robot slowly goes insane because turns out, he had a heart of gold. Because Kettlewell said he used his own brain patterns within the robot. So, for all intents and purposes, he had a human consciousness in there. And so things go from bad to worse. But the doctor saves the day here and there, making use of his scarf as well. And his hat. And the Brigadier figures, you know what, I'm going to fix this. He gets a hold of the disintegrator gun, shoots the robot, and suddenly, yes, the robot becomes King Kong, grabs little Sarah, and goes on a rampage, destroying the neighborhood. Which is one of these things that giant creatures in TV shows and movies always make the mistake. They can never really agree on the actual height and size of it. 1 minute it's as tall as a skyscraper. The next minute it's kind of staring over the roof of a house and stuff like that. But so what? And eventually they already had let the Kettlewell drop that he had made the robot out of living metal and created a virus that could attack it because, might need that. So the doctor goes and finds his notes and comes up with the virus and splashes it on the robot. He wasn't being very careful with it because it could have dripped all over his car, Bessie, But anyway, he goes over there and, of course, the poor robot disintegrates and he's, oh! He's done. That's it. So, of course, Sarah's all sad about it. So the doctor, for the first time, would you like a jelly baby? And offers her, let's go in the TARDIS and have fun. And there you're getting the first strains of what things will be. So after the era of Pertwee and for the most part being unit-based stories, he did travel through space and time and all that. But it was always grounded in that element that they had originally set his doctor up for after the Troughton years. And now, eventually, slowly but surely, we get back to what Troughton was doing with Tom Baker's doctor. So it's an interesting little observation there. But that's where we start off. And, of course, Harry just happens by, and, he doesn't believe that the police box is a spaceship time machine deal. And the doctor says, well, just go on in and have a look. And of course, they sort of tricked the poor bastard into this wild adventure that he really had no intention of ever doing. He's tricked into being a companion. And as soon as he can get out of it, he takes that shot. But that'll be later. For now, oh boy, he's stuck now. But a very good introduction, and it's like Tom Baker seems to have been able to hit the ground running with his doctor. And, of course, he always explained, they say, well, what are you going to do with it? And he just played the doctor as himself. And, well, he did, didn't he? And it worked. And so there really didn't need to be too much of a transition period at all. He just walks right into it, and you're off to the races. So, a good introduction for your doctor. A safe story, a very simplistic one of, there's a monster on the loose. And, of course, you feel bad for the poor thing and all of that. And all has to come to an end. So, that was very clever on their part. It's Wonder what happened to all that cleverness, you know? Why isn't it there anymore? What happened? I think Miss Winters actually won and took over, didn't she? Yeah, after she got out of prison, she took over the BBC. So now there's no Doctor Who. I know there's a show called Doctor Who on now, but come on. Who are we kidding? Anyway, really fascinating to see how a simple show with very little budget and very achieved so much more greatness than this crap that. All right, it's enough. All right, Timeless Child ruined everything, and I'm still upset about it. But we got the old Who, and we can watch that, which I did. So we're really off to greatness with Tom Baker. Thank you for watching and listening. Say, why not like and subscribe and check out that link description below. That'll take you to my many stores that have plenty of goodies for you. And don't forget to check out the Night comic book over at IndiePlanet.com. And, of course, the Mr. Nailsin Show on RadioMisfits.com. And, of course, you can also watch my videos over at BitChute. That's the Mr. Nailsin channel at BitChute.com.